Hey everybody. Welcome to Unapologetics. This is a little quick video. We have here I have Nikki with me. And
Hi.
and when I see that was unveiling. I unveiled it there. So
You did such a good job.
right.
Thank you. I've been unveiled.
Yeah, that's it.
Hmm.
But yeah, we wanted to talk a little bit about a couple different things. And Nikki had sent this to me. You sent this to me like I
Yep.
don't know, a couple weeks
2 weeks ago, I
2 weeks
sent
ago.
this to him, or like at least a week ago, week and a half ago.
And it
Definitely before it went crazy.
Right, yeah, because now it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Everybody's, like, covering it, so it's
I,
just like
I'm on I think the Reddit is called Fundy Uncensored, or,
ooh.
oh, I don't know, but there's a Reddit, it has Fundy in the name, and they're constantly updating with these kinds of videos and TikToks of fundies and all this stuff, and it's thrilling.
That's awesome, like,
I mean, it's
I
horrible,
have the
but
hardest time with Reddit for some reason. I don't know
I
how to get it to
know
work. It's like
it's
I don't know why, but,
just
everybody
follow
else loves it,
something.
though. See, like, Cecil is always talking about what he read on Reddit, and I'm like, "Man, if I could just get this thing to work."
It's really amazing. Like, it is the only place you can get unfiltered, real opinions from real people. I mean, you got to take things with a grain of salt, but
Right.
it just feels like people helping people and also people uplifting people with beautiful cat pictures and dog
Oh,
videos and all the things under the sun. It's just
well, that's always
it's
good.
everything. It's everything all at once. Oh, it's awesome.
All the yeah, everything all at once, yeah. I can
Yeah,
see
that
that.
movie.
That's
Everything
I was
everywhere
gonna
all
say
at
everything,
once.
that's what it is. Okay. I was like, I know I've heard this before. But so, okay, so this is Mike, was it Mike Keller? I think his name
Yes.
is. He's related to the Duggars in a weird way,
Hmm.
right?
His daughter. Oh, we really should pull this up because it's rude to talk about these people and not even know their names.
Oh, right.
Um,
You got the
let's see. Let's pull up Mike Keller on the little fundy Wikipedia.
oh yeah, it's a fundamental, what was it? Fundamentalist
Fundamentalist
wiki,
Wiki.
which I never knew existed. That's
Same.
super
And
awesome.
thank you for whoever is doing all of this.
I know, right?
Um,
It's probably the Fundy Fridays lady because she does all those video essays on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's been really enjoyed her on that documentary, of course. What was the documentary?
The Shiny Happy People.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
she was on that too, and the Data Over Dogma guy was on there. So
Yes. Do you remember his name?
no,
No.
I don't. He's been on Scathing Atheist and God Awful Movies recently, so go check those out.
Okay, so Mike Keller it was born in 1959. His denomination is Baptist.
Oh,
Baptist.
Baptin, that's
He's
a
a
new one. Keep on updating these denominations.
They should change the name of the leader of the Baptist church to be the Baptin. That would be really cool,
Head
actually.
Baptin.
The
Yeah.
head Baptist. Okay. His occupation says prison chaplain. So, okay. And he lives in Gainesville, Florida, which is insane. I
Of
had no
course.
idea he lived in Florida. I
Fucking course.
truly believed everyone related to the Duggars lived in the middle of the country.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. So, or, abroad doing their missionary work or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So
They're
he has, a shit ton of kids and like a shit ton of grandkids, like 30 something grandkids
Jesus
already.
Christ.
And so his daughter is married to a Duggar. So let's see here.
And that is that the same documentary? Or are they bleeding together in my mind? There was that Duggar documentary. Is that the Shiny Happy People?
Yes, that's
Okay.
exactly,
So
yes, in their church. So his
this guy
daughter,
was in the video. He was in the documentary because they were talking
Mike
about him.
Keller.
Yeah, I think he was.
Oh, I
He
don't
was.
remember.
He was like talking about how his daughter was like getting married. Anyway, it was like the whole thing because his daughter is the one who married the Duggar
Yeah.
kid. Yeah.
So anyway, Mike is married. I'm sorry. Mike has a daughter named Anna,
Anna.
who is unfortunately married to Josh Duggar. It's like
That's what.
there's so many Duggars, and she married the worst one.
I know, right?
So yeah, as you know, Josh Duggar is the convicted um possessor of child pornography as well as
Yeah.
assault.
Yeah,
Let's
he's
see.
convicted, I thought.
Yeah, well,
He
this
was
fundy thing is gonna tell me. This fundy wiki is gonna tell me. I love it. Let's see. Anna and Josh. They have like 4 kids already, and they had one as recently as 2021, which is insane because I'm pretty sure all of his stuff about the um, child pornography and touching and assaulting like his sisters came out
God, it's
earlier than
disgusting.
that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So yeah, he's been getting into stuff since 2015. So in 2015 is when
Jesus.
they found out about his Ashley Madison account, which you remember that Ashley Madison situation? Okay. So it was
No.
like a website for people who wanted to cheat in their marriages.
Oh.
So it's expressly for that, which is weird because I don't know why a website like why does a dating site need to be expressly for that? Like I feel like all of them work for that purpose, but I don't know. This one was specifically for them. So there was this dump because a data dump because it went out of business. And so they just dumped like all the names or I don't know if it was hacked. Don't
I don't know. Oh,
I don't know
okay.
things. But anyway, all of the names were released and his name was on it. And so,
Oh.
obviously, as from the church they come from and the way 19 kids and counting is, that should not have happened. And then
Okay.
2016 was when they found the child porn on the computers at the car lots that he owned. And he got
She
in a
was
real
doing it at
estate,
work.
like
Ah,
seriously, real estate scandals, money
gross.
moving scandal. And then he got arrested. Wait, let me see. Oh, yeah. So child sexual assault. So he was also, yeah. So basically just all
He was
bad.
charged.
He
Yes.
was found guilty in 2021
Jeez.
um, and sentenced to 151 months, roughly 12 and a half years in federal prison. So I guess 2021 was their last child and will be for the next 12 and a half years at least. So yeah, she is. So this guy, Mike Keller, is the father of the wife of Josh Tucker. And yeah, she was obviously very.
Oh, real quick,
Go ahead.
and she's right. You can't say the P word too often, or the YouTube bots will get you.
Oh,
I
sorry.
think the word corn gets by the bots, so use the word corn.
Corn. Thank
Yeah.
you so
Thanks,
much.
Angie.
I appreciate it.
She's our moderator too.
Love it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's awesome.
So
So
yeah, very this guy's not great already, right?
no, yeah.
Already coming from a background of a church that was just we already know and involved with the Duggar family and yeah. So
And that whole religion is just like that documentary is
yeah.
twisted. Like it's so like I don't know, when you watch that thing, it's just it for me it was almost difficult because it was a lot of the stuff in that documentary were like kind of drudging up like old things or like, oh yeah, we used to do that. I forgot about that,
Mm,
and stuff like that, where it just kind of made it kind of difficult to watch it. But I'm still glad that I did. I'm still glad that it's out there for them to for them to be dragged by themselves, basically, for just doing what they did, and people knowing about it.
yes,
But
for
so
sure.
yeah, check out that documentary. But and I can't remember the name of the church, but
I
it's
know
like
it's
a
escaping me
fucking,
right now.
it's like a cult version of a church. It's like
Mm,
it was very similar to like what I did, where it wasn't considered a cult, wasn't considered anything but like evangelical, uh, like anything, too crazy or whatever that anybody knows. But it is really crazy. It's
for
a lot
sure.
crazier than a lot of people think.
I mean, anytime you're living your life, like the way your hair is, the way your clothes are, because some a live middle-aged man said so,
Right.
that is not like related to you in any way, shape, or form, you're probably in a cult.
Yeah, dude.
Like that's a pretty sure sign.
And
And he was unmarried, which is wild to me. I don't understand how anyone can amass that kind of power and be the opposite. But we say that while so many of these weirdos and fascists are like this. But it's
right.
just so weird that he amassed so much power, not even living the tenets of the cult.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. That's incredible how they basically make it so that the elders can get away with stuff,
Mm.
right? Because everything's top down. So it's like they make the rules so that they can get away with stuff and have like two different codes that they have to live by. Theirs so they can do whatever they want, and everybody else's where nobody can do anything they want.
You're right.
It's like, you know. But so yeah, we got this clip, and it's just like what, like a minute long or something like that. I think it's just a minute
It's not
long,
much.
and we're gonna stop it
But
before it goes into their like.
let's say it's not much, but the amount of disinformation he's able to put in this tiny clip is gobsmacking. It's just amazing.
It's like the weight of what he says is a lot. It's not a lot, but it's the weight of it is, you know. It's very impactful. Here we go. All right.
150 years ago or 200 years ago, when the blacks were slaves, did they ever go to Washington, D.C. and have a rally 200 years ago to protest against slavery? Did they? No. What did they do? Well, a lot of good people in the plantations would say, hey, it's wintertime. Let us help build a church for you, dear folks. And they loved them and taught them how to read so they can read the Bible. And here's what the blacks did about 150 years ago. They humbled themselves. They prayed. They sought God's face and they turned from their wicked ways. And God made slavery illegal through several white presidents, right?
The white people did it.
It worked, didn't it? They didn't protest.
Oh God, how gross! It's like, what the hell? I mean, I just can't imagine just like how ridiculous. Like, where did he get all this stuff from? You know what I mean? Like, where did?
Well, this rant brought to you by Christian fundamentalists homeschool.
Right.
I mean, let's be real here. Like this is what happens when you don't teach real history. And this is what happens when everything you understand about the world is based on this, just so many disbelief, like just things that don't make any sense. Like, one, white people are above everyone else. And then two, like, I don't know, like everything, we can absolve ourselves of everything we did in the past because, you know, we gave them Bibles. I don't know. Like, we taught them how to read or whatever. And like, first of all, that's not even true, right? Like, that's
It wasn't
not
allowed,
reality.
Yeah.
Correct. Like, I think it was after, it was a rebellion, I think in Virginia. I'm pretty sure it was a rebellion. After a rebellion in Virginia, it became illegal to teach or allow any enslaved people to read. So it's not like, and I love when he says the nice people on the plantation. Who the fuck is he talking about?
I'm
sorry.
Heard that one
Am
a
I
lot
not supposed
too.
to say the F word?
No, you can say.
Okay.
It's been a while since you've been on. No, yeah, they don't care about that. But no, I remember hearing the nice people on the plantation thing a lot. I remember hearing that, you know, we had slaves, but we were nice to them though because we were the Christian, because it's like it goes back in the family and everything. So they're trying to like rationalize and justify all their horrible shit. And so it comes with a lot of this. But they were nice to them though. Like we were the good ones. Okay, we were different, you know. Like,
but my whole thing is like, you live in a world, right? And you live in a world where we have moved very progressively as far as a lot of us having equal rights, but it's still nowhere near equitable or perfect. And there's rampant callousness and crudeness and unkind behavior by the people who are supposedly in charge of us in any given place, whether it be the police on the street, whether it be a nurse or a doctor in a hospital, whether it be your own fucking boss. Like, there's tons of that. And so I just don't understand how they've contorted their head into believing that there was this so much kindness on these plantations when you had to one, keep the enslaved people enslaved, and then two, you believed with all your heart and soul that you were their saviors and above them in every way possible. Like, and not only that, they, like he said, they had to humble themselves and, like, basically,
Which how
this is what I'm saying. We were wicked. Like,
humble
enslaved
themselves?
people were wicked.
Right.
Period. Like, they were being cursed.
But how would they even do that? Even if that were something that slaves would be capable, what the fuck does that even mean? How does a slave humble themselves? That doesn't mean anything. You're just like, so they were just what, still slaves? What are you talking about? What do you mean? Like, they were okay with it for a second? What do you mean? Like, this doesn't make any fucking sense.
I don't know. It almost sounds like he believes that there was some kind of, like, it was justified, and this is becoming more and more, it seems, of an accepted belief that it was justified to enslave people to build this country. And it all was forgiven once a white president freed everyone, which is like, first of all, you're taking the agency away from so many enslaved people who fought and died to change that. So many Union soldiers who fought and to change that. And then you're giving this idea that, like, they needed to be saved and they needed to, like, amend something, when it's like they were enslaved. What are you talking about? They literally were kidnapped from their own homes and put on a boat and brought here. And then when they were here, they were bought and sold from their families, from everything they knew. Like, what is it that they did wrong?
Like, if somebody kidnapped somebody, right? And like, some dude just kidnapped somebody, and then somebody, like, they get away, and then somebody finds out about it and was like, hey, you can't kidnap that person anymore. They're not the savior for letting them go. You were the kidnapper. Like, you don't get to be both, dude. You don't get to be both. This is
hello,
one or the other.
I just, and if we are going to give credit, can we give credit where it's due to the just a number so big we don't even understand amount of enslaved people who fought, who ran away, who did whatever was possible to resist, to the people who didn't and kept their families safe, to the people who fought and spoke. I mean, like, can we give it to, like, I don't understand why, like, enslaved persons can't be credited for their own freedom. I don't get that. Like,
white people would never allow for that.
It's very weird.
It's
very weird.
Right. I just looked it up. It was Nat Turner's Rebellion of Enslaved Virginia.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. Yes. So this idea that they built churches and did all of these wonderful things for them. And so it's okay that, we literally bred humans and then sold them like, prized horses or whatever. Not that that's okay too, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's very weird.
It's trying so hard to remove and we were evil aspect of history, and that was like what the white people did to back then was evil. They're trying so hard to just like, nah, but they weren't though. Like, let's actually think about this from our perspective, and they're like, if I was back then, I don't know. It's just so gross the way they're trying to to add some sort of weird justification, some sort of Christian justification, because it was Christian actually,
very, very much so. And I'm curious too, like, where did this even come from? Like, why? Okay, so clearly he started off talking about protesting.
Right.
What the fuck for, bro? Like,
yeah. What? How? Because I feel like that proves
you're at church.
yeah, doesn't that prove yourself wrong anyway? Like right from the get, because you're like, they didn't do any protests. It's like, yeah, they fucking could. What, man? Like, how would they do that? Like,
I know. Somehow it's better to sit and stay enslaved and just like hope that eventually a white president will care than it is to protest at the National Mall.
right. Well,
But then again, he doesn't feel that way about the January Sixers.
oh no, that was
That's a different
1776.
situation
Yeah.
whatsoever. Even though that was like, even if you want to say, oh, it was just a protest, which it wasn't. But even if you want to say that, it was a protest on steroids, bro. Like it was like,
Yeah.
this was not just marching in the streets and maybe like burning down something a little bit, like this is like you burn down a corner store, which sucks, but it's not like, you know what I mean? Like taking over a government branch.
Like the politicians had to run and hide, and they had
a big deal.
A noose ready to murder them had they gotten away with what they wanted, yeah, it's insane. But like it's funny too, because you can see he's trying to make like this simile or whatever, or like be like, look, this metaphor really, and be like, see, they didn't need to protest back then, so that's why they need to stop it and cut it out right now. That's what it it seemed like that he was trying to say, like if they would just humble themselves, then all racism would disappear. And
we've never tried that before. But you know what else is interesting is it's always funny watching people who confess to love America so much and love our Constitution and wouldn't change a thing, but they stand and openly complain about parts of the Constitution. Like,
right.
I don't understand.
It was good on the first draft, no amendments.
Like what? This is our government affords us to do this, or excuse me, we fought for this shit. It's ours. You can't take it.
Exactly.
But it's like, I thought you loved it all.
Right. Yeah. So, Andrew said like black people are only free because of how benevolent white people are.
That part.
That's so gross.
And that's what terrifies me about, not all homeschooling, but absolutely this type of homeschooling, because I think for a long time there, and we've seen the books, we've seen the examples, this is how, the period of chattel slavery in the US is taught. It's taught as a situation where, of course, the enslaved people are victims, but the most important things is these hero white people came together and, lost their lives for
They came together and had a civil war. And
like it's basically right. Never to mention the Black regiments that fought, never to mention, how much like they were using enslaved people who were able to defect to get details about the landscape. Because look at the time period. You really think the North would have been able to just like, the Union Army would have been able to accomplish all that without having intel, without like, it's just, again, stripping agency entirely from everyone who contributed to ending chattel slavery. And I don't understand why we can't just have a more robust conversation. It's like, we can still talk about John Brown. Hello. We can still talk about, Abraham Lincoln, but we just want to have a more robust conversation, because it's weird to like idolize people without understanding the full story. And the robustness of the story actually is much better, because instead of it being a few hero white people who changed everything, it's a story of collaboration, of just like, obviously with caveats, but groups of people, of different types of people, abolitionists, enslaved people, freed Black people, all of that came together, and obviously Lincoln and all that, to get rid of this problem. And I think that's so much more robust. Why not? Like, hello.
Well, and I think it goes back to like everything about them. It's almost like the Rambo thing, where like the where I wasn't allowed to watch the first Rambo because the morality was just all over the place. It was just too complicated morality. And so it was like my mom did not like that. She would say it 2 and 3 were okay because it was like clear good guy, clear bad guy type of thing. Right. And I think this is like a lot like that. You know what I mean? Where they need like a clear good guy and it needs to be them because otherwise they're the bad guy and they can't have that.
And that's how history was taught for such a long time. I remember in 6th grade coming home, and at that point, my family hadn't really talked to me so much about history. And so I was mostly like learning what I was learning at school. I knew, obviously things that most like Black kids grow up learning, but there were, the ins and outs of things I didn't understand. And so I remember we were talking about Strom Thurmond, and I remember at that time I was too young to understand like actual politics. First, I wasn't into that shit. Anyway, so I remember like just saying, "Oh, isn't that such a great name, Strom Thurmond?" Like, because it's just such a cool fucking name. It sounds like
a Marvel character,
right? Or like a Grand Admiral or something, like Grand Admiral Strom Thurmond. And I remember my mom just being taken aback and like having to have a conversation with me about like who this person is. And that's what I'm saying. Like the context of these things that we learn in school is oftentimes missing. And it's just this either neutral or it takes this like hero worship strain. And I wish we could just like talk about it from more of a like policy standpoint or something. I don't know. Right. I don't know how to improve it, but I just feel like we could be having, obviously things need to be age appropriate.
Sure.
Right. And I think for the most part, the way we sort of try to keep things uplifting until they're emotionally able to handle the truth is good. But I think even we need to handle the truth.
Yeah.
Like at some point.
The kids back then had to handle the truth. I don't know. I mean, not that that's really a good argument, but
I'm saying the truth, but I mean, just like more details added,
right?
I guess is the point.
I mean, I think they can handle. I mean, I don't know. Well,
of course they can handle it. Of course they can handle it. Like if young Black kids, like not even Black, like if young kids who don't fit in can handle the rejection and difficulty of that, then they can handle learning about history. But because it's not you. You're not. It's not you.
That's the thing that like teachers and the white people have like the hardest time like. I mean, because you see, like that bill, I can't remember where it was. We were watching a video where they were saying it was like in a teachers' meeting, for a county meeting or whatever, and they said like, oh, and so you got to teach both sides. So if you're teaching about, and then she uses the Holocaust as an example, and they were like, how do you teach both sides of the fucking Holocaust? What are you talking about? And it's almost like because. And you could see she was trying not to say slavery, but she was like, okay, let me go to something else. The Holocaust, you're like, fuck, it's just as bad, if not worse. But, it's like, how do you do this sort of thing? But that's what they want. They're like, you have parents going, I don't want my kid learning about this stuff because it makes them feel bad or whatever. Like, and so those people, of course, get everything they want. So that's, what's happening in our schools. And now they're teaching this watering down nonsense that actually could go like you could have that guy teach that sermon and kids could be learning about slavery at school and just be like, yeah, he's still right.
I mean, that's clearly what's happening, right?
School.
Like for real, that's what's happening. There's no way. There were obviously kids in that sermon. Like there's no way. The whole point of that religion is to have as many children as possible. So
it's a long game, even though most of those kids, I guarantee, are going to be growing up to be like anti-theist atheists that are very angry. I think that's what they're creating. Like, I almost think that's why like religiosity just in general is dropping because there's so many fundamentalist kids are growing up.
I mean, it's trauma.
I could be wrong.
Period. It's trauma. There's no way around it. I mean, I can't remember the Warren Jeffs cult that was basically throwing young men away, like just throwing young boys away. Like, oh, you're 15, you're going to have to compete with the young girls and women of the religion with me. No, we're just going to throw you away. Like, and you've been ill-educated. You have no sense of the real world. and you are summarily dismissed. What I mean, like, we need a children's bill of rights. Like, that's
Dude, yeah,
insane.
that
That's
is-
insane.
That is something we need.
But
really
we're off
badly.
topic. We're off
Oh
topic.
yeah, no. But yeah, so I don't know. It was that dude was just a lot. I've just never heard anything that wrong. And I feel like you could almost see him realizing it as he's saying it,
Oh,
but also
absolutely.
rejecting. I'm good, right?
I mean,
Right?
the
I'm good.
moment, like Aunt Jira said, she commented, the blacks, the moment
Yeah.
you hear that, which is pretty much like 4 seconds in, you know you're in for it.
Yeah.
Because I can't stand when people say that shit. It's
Yeah.
like, black what, bro?
Yeah.
Black what?
People, the humans you're talking about? Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about? And then they talk about us like we're all a monolith and the same, but they would never speak about themselves that way.
Right.
And I always find that so interesting. Everybody's an individual, but us.
Except, yeah, no, we're not. Richard says, sounds like those kids need to learn to separate themselves from historical figures. Like Johnny, you are not a time traveler. You aren't a slave owner.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
And if a part of you feels like you're feeling sympathy for the slave owners, you need to tell an adult so you can get some therapy, babe. Like, it's
Something's
that
wrong.
simple. Like, if you, I just don't, it's not hard to not feel sympathy for these lazy, terrible people who didn't want to build their own country and relied on violence to get other people to do it.
Right.
And exploitation to get other, like, it's okay to feel like those were scummy people.
Right. And
Period.
you can like parts of the culture without like having to defend every single aspect of it. You know what I mean? Like, you can like the food, the country lifestyle, all that type of stuff, whatever. But like, you can still acknowledge that, hey, that was wrong and that shouldn't have happened. That was an evil that happened in the past that we're trying to move away from. I don't feel like that's difficult at all.
No.
You know?
But that's in competition with the reality, which is, I really do think people want to romanticize the antebellum South. Like, Gone with the Wind was one of the worst things to ever happen.
Everybody loves that.
I cannot believe
that movie.
In this year, 2023, people are still getting married at plantation homes. Like,
that is kind of weird.
That is, I mean, you have to have such a big blinder on. I mean, like, I just remember going to like George Washington's house in, DC. Of course, I can't think of the area now. Mount Vernon. Thank you.
Oh, Mount Vernon.
Yeah. When you go to Mount Vernon, quite honestly, once I think I started around the slave quarters because that's what I was interested in, because we were having like a sort of do your own tour situation. And once, because this was like way back in the day when no one, like, museums were like, just have fun.
Just take it off.
We trust you. Let's go. But it was like, once I saw that, it's just such a, like, okay, yeah, the house is beautiful or whatever, but every single piece of it was probably built by, maintained by a group of people that he owned.
Yeah. And it's kind of weird.
Yeah. And then you want to get married there?
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, that's really weird.
You want to start a union there?
We were we were like watching or we were looking up those reviews. There was like reviews on Yelp. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Was it Yelp? And it was like plantation reviews, and all the white people were so complaining. They were like, why do they keep bringing up slavery and stuff? Like, I was just trying to like not think about slavery and stuff while I'm going to a plantation, but I don't even.
We know.
What?
You were trying to be in your own little personal Gone with the Wind, but that's not real. Like, yes, those people existed, but their entire way of life was based on violence and exploitation. And white supremacy. So I don't, like, and religious exploitation too. Like, there were lots of people who died because they resisted the Bible. They did not want that. Like, why would you want to believe in the word of your fucking enslaver?
Yeah, pushing that shit. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's, we know they love doing that, pushing it down.
Pretty magnolias.
Right, yeah.
And columns and shutters.
But them poor slave owners that, lost their business or whatever. It's just like, wow, man.
Turns out their business was like getting mortgages based off of Black bodies.
Right.
Like,
jeez.
Listen, everything about it was fucking not okay.
Yeah, it was gross. But here, let's move on from here. We got it. So, you know what else is gross? That's my segue.
I was so abrupt.
Yes. Is this thing going on here? Oh, okay. There we go. And so the Young Turks have kind of like lost their fucking mind. I don't know any other way to really say it. They don't seem to be doing well. I don't know. They keep on saying, like, it started a while ago. I talked about it briefly.
Yeah, I remember just seeing, what was that? I saw a video where they were talking about the homelessness problem in LA, and I was just shocked. I was just kind of like, my head was literally just like, huh?
Yeah, she was just like, and these disgusting people.
Oh, it's just I don't even know.
What the fuck?
The context of it was just so out of pocket. It was just kind of like, okay, girl, like everyone, I mean, all of us live somewhere where there's pretty much this big problem. Like, that's the first thing. Like, that's one of the things. Can I just say, as an aside, Californians, I know that it's bad there. I know that you have Skid Row or whatever, but you are not the only place, and you're not the first place to be dealing with a like houselessness problem, and your standard of living is obviously causing it, and your property tax issue is, I was sitting there watching her just be obtuse basically about the realities of like every single metro city in the country is having this issue, and it's about to get worse. Yeah. And rent is just going up and up and up. And so I don't understand. I'm like, she just wants to complain right now about something that people literally cannot control.
I swear sometimes it's you, and you can see it when it comes out, because she has like it's Anna too. Like, I mean, Cenk does it too, but like I just see her when like she like goes off on her own tangent, and then all of a sudden she's like complaining these really right-wing sounding complaints, that just like, what the fuck? Like, she's just like, well, I'm just riffing here, okay? I
know, but your riffing sounds.
The character I'm playing is not, not rational about this. It's like, Jesus. So this is an article called "Why We Must Abandon the Young Turks: Transphobia and Progressive Influencers." And so the leftist mafia, I don't know if anybody's familiar with them. They like the Rational National, Binder from the Majority Report, Ole, or James Ole. There's just a bunch of people. Anyway, the Surfs guy, the
Lance,
funny dude. Yeah, Lance. He so they like have a show called The Leftist Mafia, and they were like all talking about it. And for whatever this was weird too. For whatever reason, then they were talking about it on that show, The Leftist Mafia, and they Ole like brought up a couple of the things that she had said. And it was like, a couple of clips were taken out, and people like they lost their mind. They like went against her like really hard. They were like attacked her a lot on like their platform, like just her, Ole.
Oh,
like even though they were all doing that and they were all nice, they were just saying, "Oh no, she's really a good person." And everything. She just messed up on this one thing. I think maybe she just made a mistake, or she just doesn't understand or whatever.
Did you hear about
she doubled down and then went after Ole, saying that it was like, all like she doesn't like her, and it was weird.
It's so messy. It's messier than that. So apparently Ole, I think she tweeted that Cenk sent her text messages being like, basically like, don't take it personal, we knew you could handle it, whatever. And she's just kind of like, you knew the sole Black woman could handle it? What?
What does that mean? Like them attacking her on the show a lot?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this is just for ratings, dude.
Basically, that's what I mean. That's what it is. It's like, there's this clash happening between people who are actually doing these podcasts because they believe in this shit and it's their morals and it's their values and they're living them. And then they're being confronted by this group that all of a sudden they realize is potentially just in this for the money
Yeah.
and the
Like,
notoriety and the fame.
I mean, and you have a lot of evidence of that. Like there's Cenk was like also always talking about how the unions were everything and that you got to do the, go for
Former
the union.
Republican, by the way.
For what he was?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
Mhm.
Jesus. Okay, so he was a former Republican, and then he's also saying that shit. What was I saying? Oh, that like that unions, like he's always for the unions and all this and that, and then like they tried to form a union at the Young Turks, and he went and did like union busting tactics to get them to stop. It's embarrassing, man. Like what the
Yes.
fuck?
Deeply
Jesus.
embarrassing. Because they have to be making money hand over fist. I mean, I'm sorry, anyone who has a show that can move anywhere in the country and you choose to say in a ridiculously high cost area of living to do it, they're making cash. Like, I'm sorry, like it's just they have to be making mad bucks because TYT will do a video on anything.
Yeah, like, and then the fireman got the cat out of the tree. Did you see that? Look at that. That was wow, huh?
Anything. They have that little cable channel where they play TYT videos all day. They're churning and burning these
Right.
videos.
I keep missing comments here. Hold on, I'm gonna catch up real quick. She said, Antier said it's the origin story of grifters playing out in real time.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this one.
Turns out YouTube's full of them.
Yeah, I know. Right? I think a good example of how and why she's out of touch with reality is the story she told about going to elementary school. As an aside, like it was normal, she mentioned the entrance exam.
So she went to a fancy elementary. Good for you, girl. Congratulations. I love it when people's class finally seeps out of them and they just like, it's like she's been holding off for so long. She's like, no, I can't fall into my class beliefs because I'm a progressive. And then like some bad things happen and people call you out on it. And all of a sudden it's like, mama got to get back to what she knows best, which is being uppity.
Yeah, exactly. It was just so weird, like the way that it just, I don't know, she like completely shift gears. And because there was another time she said there was something, and we were having conversations about this, about like how the right uses people like disagreements within minorities, right? So like they would say like there's like it was like some post, and I think we figured out that it was fake, but it said like I'm gonna fuck my boyfriend in public at the pride parade because fuck all of you, I want to fuck and everything like that, and it's my pride, something like that. It was just like really just like
Bait.
out there. Exactly. And like she was saying stuff about that. She was like, well, sometimes people at the pride parade are a little bit too, I think, go too far. So there's a conversation that can be had with the right about, and she kept on fucking doing this type of shit where she's just like being so goddamn charitable to the right, to be like, look, we're reasonable. Hey, look, we're, and that I run into that with these skeptical type of people a lot, where they're trying so hard to prove that they are being objective, and they are like they're critical thinkers, and they're evaluating. Maybe I could be wrong. That they're doing that they're not realizing that the guy that would never do that, never have any critical thinking, is tricking you into being more on their side because you're trying to prove to that idiot liar that you are more, you're objective, you're a critical thinker. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is not, I'll totally agree with you if you're right. Like, you got, quit trying to prove that to these fuckheads. It doesn't matter. They don't care.
They don't care, baby.
Jesus.
It's
a waste of time.
I have been concerned for years about the cropping up of all these like quote unquote left-wing YouTubes, because sometimes it's not that I need language to be perfect for me to understand that you understand the issue actually, but my thing is right wing terraforming is so powerful and pernicious these days. Like like people are literally fleeing Twitter because you cannot even go on that site anymore without having to be in contact with right wing ideology and that cesspool. And so I fear that when people pay too much attention to their whatever they're spouting off about and take it seriously like it's real, it ends up taking over like, venom or whatever. Like, it just starts to seep in and seem reasonable. And it's like, it's not reasonable. You've just been terraformed, babe. You've just like, they're just getting you ready. That's
Yeah.
all that's
And
happening.
that repetition and that manipulative type of like those arguments that are just manipulative a lot of times and don't have any real ground. Like I am all about like keep taking people, I like encouraging people to make reasonable arguments and stuff like that. The problem is that a lot of these people just use that type of rhetoric to manipulate people. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to see through, it's an argue like a bullshit argument and somebody actually being honest, which sometimes it's hard to tell. And a lot of people are brainwashed out there. So they might be being honest while making obviously bullshit arguments that, but you're not going to move them that way. I don't think. I just,
No. And we all love online, right? Online is fun. It's a great place, but it's not the world. And I think that when you do things like making it seem like the Democrats are going to lose because they don't want trans people to be excluded and murdered, and they're not even doing much to say that except just saying it sometimes. Like sometimes somebody will tweet it. But
just outright.
like, but a lot of these bills have been signed. Oh, big up to the North Carolina governor who just vetoed one of them. Thank you so much. Thank you, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
But this idea that no, the problem is trans activists, not the people who have started attacking trans people.
That is wow.
I don't, getting to that place means you need to go outside. You need to stop being on, like, you need to shut down social media for a while, like maybe just like go to a cafe and like talk to people for a minute. I don't know. I just feels, and I get that she's in LA, so maybe it feels different, that feeling, but
right. Well,
it just all seems delusional to me.
And just to be clear, this is what we're talking about. So Anna, if anybody wasn't aware, like Anna Kasparian and Cenk had this whole argument that they made, breakdown, calling trans activists idiots and stuff, saying that it's not a good tactic to give trans activists what they want if it's not popular, right? And if it's not popular, then it'll cause them to lose elections, right? And then it's their fault. It's those trans activists' fault if the draconian anti-trans bills are passed. It's their fault because they're being unreasonable by wanting equal rights. And if it's not popular, then they just got to take the L, man. And just that's it. That was their whole argument. I'm not even kidding. And so that's what everybody's so mad about. And they've doubled and tripled and quadrupled down on this to where like other people like was the Humanist Mike, I think from the Humanist Report, he was a contributor. Like he contributed a lot to TYT and he stopped. He was like, I had to pull out, I had to back out. And the Benny is the one trans woman that worked there. She left too. And I covered that in a previous video. But and so yeah, and it's the LGBTQI plus community is just leaving in droves right now from TYT. And they just don't seem to give a fuck. They just keep on lashing out online and everything and saying like Cenk basically called Benny out online and was like, she quit, she's too good for us, and is that, and then like it was just really frustrating.
That's supposed to be your boss.
Saying that yeah, I know, right? And saying she was lying and stuff. It's like, dude, she played the clip.
Is this?
Yeah, it's just like he said that she lied. And we're like, dude, we can hear the clips, man. Like it was your face that the words came out of. All she did was push play
Accountability is so hard for these people. And I think too, the biggest issue I have with it is first, well, my biggest issue is the way you understand this issue is completely fucked up, and it's not at all empathetic of trans people and their concerns and the reality of their situations. But on top of that, if you want to argue about it, argue the points. I don't understand why they have to keep acting like everyone who's like trans lives matter is somehow like a trans activist or a trans advocate. I don't know. Like, okay, I guess I see myself as a trans advocate. Sure, I will give myself that title, but I don't understand why that automatically makes my argument on the issues of like why I am invalid, which is what I feel like they're doing. Does that make sense? It's like every single, like, for example, the trans athletes in sports. Oh, I think I've messed up my speaker thing. Oh, I think it's back now. Okay. So like trans athletes in sports, right? The basic idea is whatever it ends up being, inclusion should be the number one goal, in my opinion, right? Period. So why not argue against why you don't believe inclusion should be the number one goal? Why do you have to be so nasty about the whole thing? Like, deal with the arguments. Like, why are you tone policing and shaming the very people who are under attack? It just seems so
Exactly. It's
counterproductive and like mean spirited, like just awful.
Yeah. There's Andrew said he was like, I had to pull out BRENTLY. And if you want to have to pull out, check out the condom section on adamandeve.com and use code word BRENTLY at checkout to get 3 free gifts. 3 free gifts, one for him, one for her. And when you both enjoy 50% off almost any one item and 6 free movies and free shipping on the entire order, go to adamandeve.com, put in code word BRENTLY. That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
I was going to forget. Yeah.
Yes. I meant to ask you ahead of time too, but I was like, he got it.
You got it. Yes. That's funny. But yeah. Okay. So here we go back. So the point of her story was about how English is her second language, and she didn't recognize the letters they were showing her because they speak Armenian in her home.
See, but like, how did that even come up in conversation? That's one of the things right? That's why every time Brent would like put on a TYT video back in the day, I was like, do we have to? Because all of it turns into some weird rant about their personal lives. And it's odd to me. And it's like, a lot of times it's never even on point. It's just like, and now I want to take a moment to talk about myself.
Yeah. You know what else is yellow? My room. And you know what happened in there? Like the other day, I was seeing this fly came in.
It's like, we're not tuning into you because we like your personalities. Like, we're just trying to get some information disseminated right now.
That was one thing I did like about them. They would play the clip first, and then it would, then they would talk for an hour after that. But the clip came first. Long. That's the important part. She said, she had to teach herself English by watching Sesame Street. Okay, great. She had it rough at her fancy school. That's so funny.
Poor Anna.
And Jasper said it totally does. And that was earlier. Sorry.
Thanks, Jasper.
I remember exactly what we were talking about. But yeah, it's really unfortunate. So pretty much they've had to, I don't know, just move that much more to the right. And I think a lot of it has to do with money. They're trying to get that transphobic money or something. Or
who knows? I mean,
I don't know. It just seems so weird.
It seems very calculated almost, because it's just of someone who's been on YouTube, because like Cenk and Anna have been on YouTube for so long. They understand how this shit works. You can't just up and start spouting diametrically different beliefs than what you had a month prior. And then you can't just keep picking at the scab, and none of this works.
I feel like
MSN, and so it feels like, where the hell is all this coming from?
Right. I feel like MSNBC wouldn't even do some shit like this. You know what I mean? Like they're like the liberal whatever media that they talk about.
Cheerleaders.
But yeah,
Democratic cheerleaders.
Democratic cheerleaders, which I'm sure they are, but like I don't think they would do this. I don't think they would like just start throwing like the most vulnerable minorities as of late under the bus, you know? It's just insane. I mean, people that are to the point where like department stores are getting fucking threats of violence if they have pride stuff near the front of the store. I mean, and then you're going to throw the people
Literal
that are
death
victims
threats.
of those people under the bus and say it's their fault.
Literal death threats.
Fucking insane. I just, yeah, I couldn't believe it. That was just too
And
much.
I'm not saying she didn't get terrible messages after she came out and said that transphobic stuff. I'm not saying she didn't get terrible messages. I'm not saying people weren't mean to her on the internet. I'm sure all of that shit happened to you. But the thing about it is, I don't care how mean a single or 10 to 20 trans people could be to me. It still would not make me question their human rights. It still would not make me question my overall support of every group who is struggling for equal rights in this country. And to do so just makes you seem incredibly reactionary. And that should be, if that's what your values are, then I don't understand how you could be a progressive or you could be on the left, because that reactionary shit is supposed to be not what we do. Not saying like we're a big group and we all do everything the same, but the whole idea is to like understand why you believe something, and it should be based on more than just feels, because we have data to tell you things. Like we have science, we have things to tell you the truth.
Right. And that's the crazy part too, is they were just like giving out blatant misinformation when, dude, like y'all are a news network technically. Like where was your research team?
Yes.
Like looking for like the actual information as it applies to like trans athletes and stuff. It was because they were completely just misrepresenting facts and making it sound so much worse than it was not bad at all, and they're just like making it into something bad. Mm-hmm. It was ridiculous just because of like complete assumptions made.
Completely. And with that kind of platform, why the hell would you ever believe the histrionics of the right? I don't understand. They screech all day about made up shit. They have entirely different echo chambers, and not that we have one, you know what I mean? But they like have entirely different news, like reality. Period, in reality. Like there's just, it's just such a, the streams shall not meet. You know what I mean? Like, no, yeah. I don't understand why you would take anything they say. And I'm not saying that like, you know, polling, and they did some polling of Republicans. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the people screeching about trans people being the problem. You can just dismiss them immediately because that's not true. Right. It's not true. It's based on nothing but hate. It's based on nothing but hate. There's no reason you got to take that shit seriously. You do not have to give them anything. Nothing at all. Right. If you want to chide the left for being too much in their echo chamber, or like she was saying, she felt bad about doing Karen videos and she doesn't want to do that anymore. Of course. Okay. I have no problem with that. I was not living for Karen videos. The vast majority of us are not. We would much rather have single payer than fucking Karen videos. No one gives a shit. But that's not a prevailing problem among the quote unquote left. It's not real. It's only a problem for the right who's trying to tone police us. And also, can I just say, as an aside, those Karen videos have saved some people's fucking lives.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. In situations where you have someone being hysterical and insane and saying things like, this person touched me, this person like slap me, this person, whatever, and you're clearly recording them and you're able to show that that's not true, and the cops come and you can just show that, absolutely. Oh yeah, like that has saved people. Like it's not just about people recording Karens because it's funny. It's about showing how there's this particular class of people in this country who are using our institutions against us based on lies.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
but you don't want to make fun of them anymore. Congratulations,
I
girl.
know, right? I'm like, that's
But you missed the whole point.
right. The reason that it's funny is because these people are awful getting caught. And they know it, and it makes them that. But they can't do anything because they're on film.
Correct.
So I mean, that's pretty funny if you ask me. I don't know. I'm fine. I'm fine watching them.
Like, I get it. If it's not
good.
your bag and you don't want to do anything anymore, fine. But also, you're missing the point, first of all. And then, second of all, this is your big complaint.
Yeah.
This is what you think makes the left so bad.
Yeah.
We make fun of awful people.
And they're kind of mean on Twitter.
And mind you, we're making fun of awful people to release the anxiety and fear about the situation, because we know that these people are not going away without serious changes in the way that we are able to call the police and what the police are allowed to do, and the way some people get away with abusing it. And of course, we don't see those things happening anytime soon because, we know. So these videos literally exist for that reason. It's the only reason. But anyway,
and that's usually
it's mean.
But that's typically the side that they're on, which she does not seem like she is anymore. That's unfortunate. But all right, we're gonna go ahead and get wrapped up here. But thank you so much for coming on. It was awesome.
Of course, I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I bet. That was
That's
great.
awesome.
If you want to, you go to patreon.com/unapologetic, spelled like unapologetic, except with the X instead of a C. And go to adamandeve.com and enter code word BRENTLY, and you can put in, you can get 3 free gifts. Let's see, 50% off almost any one item, 6 free movies, and free shipping on the whole order. So head down to Adam and Eve and get your exclusive offer today. So, but thank you so much for coming on. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so what do we say to the haters? What do we say? I messed up. What do we say to the haters, discriminators, and masturbator shamers?
Fuck off.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for watching, y'all. We'll see you.
Bye.